Hello, welcome back. This is Carmen from Nutritional and Delicious, and today I thought I would take you through some of the gadgets that I have. Some of you may have them, some of them don't. And it's up to you, depends on how much you cook, what you cook, what you're going to get. Now, most of these are not all that expensive. So again, if you're really hardcore and you really love your baking, then you're going to get, some of the more expensive things, but some stuff that you can just get, from Kmart or, any of those shops, they still work. They'll do the job. It makes life easier. Otherwise, you'd have to be doing it all by hand, which can, anything done by hand, more effort, more time. So if you've got the time, do it the old-fashioned way, which I do sometimes if I've got nothing better to do, instead of whipping egg whites with my handy-dandy hand beater, I get the old-fashioned whisk and whisk away. So there we go. We'll start with the handheld mixer. So if you hear people talking about a handheld mixer, this is what it refers to. Most, you remove the blades like that, the beaters, which you can then clean and then pack away and use for another time. One of my other favorites is what they call the hand stick blender, or bar mix, some people refer to it, because these were the first ones that came out. These were really expensive back in the day. I mean, they still are, and they're great. So if you can afford it, go for it. Mind you, it took me many years to be able to afford one, and when I did, it's been the best. And the attachment that I use the most is this little blade. I use it for making mayonnaise, because then you can make your mayonnaise in any container that you like, rather than having to do it how my mum used to make it, which is in the good old-fashioned blender. I don't know if anybody has these things anymore, but she used to make the blender in here, which you can then remove, and I used to hate having to then scrape out the mayonnaise from that. It just got really messy. But once I discovered my bar mix, it made a big revolution. And the other thing that I love about it is, with that little blade bit, is if you're making a soup and you want to puree it, you just cook it in your pot. Once it's cooled down, or even when it's still a bit hot, you just have to be careful. You pop your little bit in, plug it in, and then you start blitzing away, and you pureeing, and you've got a lovely soup there, quick and easy. The other thing is, again, not everybody has a NutriBullet, as most people tend to use it for making juices. And what I like about it is because you're using the whole fruit and the vegetable, not like the other juices where you lose all that pulp. And that pulp, guess what, has fiber and many other nutrients in there. So at least with this, you're getting the whole thing. The other thing is, as I always say, making juices is good, but too much is not too good, because you've got to remember, it's a lot of sugar, even though that's natural. And not only that, there's a lot of fiber. So you can imagine what's going to happen. You'll be running to the toilet and doing lots of number twos. But anyway, that's a topic for another time. But also with this, again, I can't remember. You can use it for whatever you want, really, because it's got a great, the blade is powerful. It's quick and easy. Oh, I think I might have done it to sort of grind some nuts or something like that, because I needed a lot more, so I did it in that. Oh, because with my bar mix, I bought a separate attachment. I'll go get it, just hang on a second. Here we go. They call it a grinding wheel. So that's what, if you don't have a lot of stuff in there, this just goes over the top to hold it in place. So again, I've used it, say like I make a pesto. Oh, that's what I did in the NutriBullet. I made some pesto. So you put in all your basil, your nuts, the what do you call it? The Parmesan cheese and the olive oil, and you just blitz it away. Really, really good. I also use this for making my almond meal, because I find one, it's cheaper, and then you can have almond meal whenever you like. As long as you've got almonds in your cupboard, you're good to go. Because with the almond meal, you've got to be careful, because it can go rancid. So that's what I do. So that just pops on, and then, oops, minus the little blade, this just sits in, and then you just press your button and it grinds away. I've used this also to make, you know, like garlic butter, herb butters. Great, I love it. And this is the other attachment that I really love for whipping cream. It whips cream in no time. It's way faster than using your hand mixer, and even faster than doing it by hand. Now this is the other one. It's a coffee grinder, but you could use it to grind other spices if you like. Say like, what do you call it? If you don't have a lot, you know, your harder ones like ginger, turmeric. You could even try cloves if you wanted to. I haven't tried that. I've got to give it a go, see how that works. But this is mainly for coffee. You could also experiment and try other things in there. Again, this isn't the top of the line, but it works. The food processor, which is again great for if you want to mix your own meat. If you don't, some of the standard mixers have a grinding attachment, but if you don't have that, you've got a food processor, you can do it still in that. And that's what I've done sometimes when I make chicken burgers. I buy the chicken fillets, fresh fillets I should say, just chop them up a little bit, throw them in there, grind it up, Bob's your uncle. And again, if you want to be, it's, you know, more heavy duty processing, so to speak, compared to like your NutriBullet or your hand mixer. This is like making some doughs in here, you can do that. Or for example, sometimes I make it's a lemon meringue pie, and it's just using a biscuit base. So you throw in your biscuits, grinds it all up. Easy. If you don't have one, sometimes, you know, I've been in a place where I haven't had a food processor, so it's just putting it in a bag, get a rolling pin, smash away, grind away. Get your frustrations out. So that's that one. And again, this is the stand mixer. Again, this over time I've been able to acquire one, and this is great. So this is also, what I find this is really great for is, for example, if you're going to be making meringue, because you just put your egg whites in, turn it on, and it just starts whipping away. So in the meantime, you can be doing other things. I mean, still keep an eye on what you're doing, but you whip away. Compared to the handheld mixer, you have to be standing there, turning and, you know, mixing it around, making sure that you're getting all the egg whites, and it can get tiring. And also, it's great for that kind of stuff that you really need to be. It takes a bit of time to be beating and whipping, you know, especially back in the days when I was doing a lot of cake decorating. You're having to make the buttercream, because again, that takes forever. So again, this is your beading attachment, and this is for doing those other things a little bit more heavy duty, where it's a bit of a thicker batter. Oops. Okay, now that was all my electrical gadgets. Now I'm just going to go through some of the stuff that I have. Some of these things are pretty basic that most people should have. And then the other things get a little bit more specific and specialized depending on, you know, what you like to do. For example, this is what they call, you know, the fruit ball or a melon baller. These are really fun because you can make little balls out of, you know, watermelon, rock melon, what's the other one, the honeydew, you know, anything that's sort of relatively firm but not hard. And then especially in the summertime, it just makes it really fun. You can make little fruit kebabs out of that. That's a fun one to have. Now, where do I start? Okay, let's start with the knives. So see this one that's got a bit of a serrated edge? That one's good for slicing things like, you know, your onions, your potatoes, they're a little bit firmer. And then this one's a little bit smaller. That's for dicing. So that's for making little smaller cubes compared to the bigger, chunkier cubes, which is then chopping. And then we've got our big serious chef's knife. So that's for, you know, cooking and chopping bigger things. Then you've got your bread knife with a serious serration. Now I love to use this to cut watermelon, rock melon. It goes really nicely, and because it's long too, it makes it easier to cut through. What else have we got? Okay, so this is your old-fashioned hand beater, whisker, which is good for making, you know, if you're making a simple cake, beat it up. If you're making some like an omelette or something, again, you just need to give it a quick whisk. And then also the other thing I like is my little mini one. So that's good for when you're doing something, you need to beat something up in a little bowl or a glass. Rather, obviously that's not going to fit, so you've got your little one. Okay, so here you've got your, some people call it egg flip, spatula, but you know, it's for lifting things up out of a frying pan or, you know, grill or something like that. So depending on what kind of pots you have, if you've got some of those non-stick ones, you probably want to go more for the silicone one rather than the metal one, because it's going to scrape everything off. Then we've got different kinds of spoons. This is a slotted spoon. So this is, for example, if you're poaching pears or what's the other one that's really nice? The apples, right? You want to scoop the whole thing out without all the liquids. So this allows you to scoop the whole pear out of the liquids that you're stewing it in, and you haven't got all the extra fluids in there. Now something else that's a bit similar to that is this one. See, it's got all those little holes. I'm pretty sure I call it a skimmer. So sometimes might see on, you know, like MasterChef or in some recipes it said skim off the top. So that's sometimes when you're cooking things for a long time, you get like fat or just proteins and things that float up to the top. So you want to clear that off the top without losing all of the liquid, and it makes it nice and clean and clear. So that's what that one's for. But I use it also when if I'm, say, frying something, to scoop it out, so you're trying to drain off as much of the oil as you can. Your good old tongs. Again, there's all kinds of tongs, ones with longer handles. And here's just a normal spoon. It's a nice one for scooping out like spaghetti sauce, things like that. This is a ladle, so you know, for your soups and things. That's pretty good. And again, they all come in different sizes as well. This is for your pasta. That's pretty cool. So you can get all your pasta out. Again, that's not necessary, you know, but it just makes life a little bit easier. Here you go, you've got your meat tenderizer. So there's a little points and you've got the big ones. So, you know, so with the chicken breast, you don't want it, sometimes some areas it's too thick, even if you're to cut it in half. So you just gently pound away, flatten it out, and also tenderize it, makes it a bit softer. So it makes it easier to cook. It's also good for when you've had a bit of a bad day. These come in, you know, different shapes and forms. Some of them you've seen, it's like a triangle, it's like a square, and then you've got there's a smaller grade, and then there's a finer grade. This one, I've got this one, and the other one is similar, which I love. It looks like a file for, you know, wood for carpentry, but this is really great for you know, what do you call it? Ginger and turmeric. And then you've got the other ones you can do, what's it called? Nutmeg, if you've got the nut, grate away. Or even parmesan if you want a nicer, finer grate compared to this one. So they're great. this one. It's for basting, for when you're roasting chicken or, you know, piece of other type of meat and you've got all the liquids. It sucks it up and then you can just pour it over the top to keep your meat moist and help with, if it's got a glaze, to keep it nice and glazed. That's a little bit handier than using a spoon where you can, you know, burn yourself. So that's a really good little thing. Again, it's not necessary. You can do it with a spoon. What else have we got? An apple corer. So this is really great for if you're cooking a whole apple. So sometimes I like to make baked apples. So then you stick that into the middle and it removes the core all in one piece. Or sometimes I do that if I'm making, say, like an apple crumble. You've got to do a lot of apples. It's just a lot easier than having to chop it and then manually remove the core. So that's a really good, handy one to do. And I've got to say, these can openers are the best. They're the best. It makes it so much easier compared to the other old ones, which were a bit harder to use. And here you got your garlic. This one's got a little removable bit where you put the garlic and you crush it. As you know, I love my pestle and mortar. This one's a wooden one. You can get the nice little stone ones. Still works, all good. Now this, I remember the first time I saw one of these, I was in Chile. It was, I don't know, about 30 years ago. And I thought it was the best thing. And it took a while for these things to come here. This is for slicing your green beans. For, you know, we like to have green bean salad. So here you've got the little knife where it helps to cut off the end bits. And then you just place the green bean in there and pull it through and you've got these lovely thin slices. Best thing ever. So much easier than my grandmother used to do it by hand. I used to do it, but it takes longer to do. What else have we got? Okay. The vegetable peeler. Again, came in all shapes. You know, all sorts. This one's pretty good. What makes this one really good, I have no idea what brand it is. Because even with the tomato, when it gets really ripe, it goes soft, it still is able to peel it really nicely. Okay, what else have we got? And here you got, again, it's a food scraper spatula, I'm not really sure, but again, it's using to scoop things out in a bowl, or when you're baking, you know, it says, for example, with say you're making some cake batter where you've whipped egg whites and it says gently fold it, so you use that to fold the egg whites into your batter so it doesn't go flat. And then you've got, of course, you've got a good old wooden spoon. And here we have, this is it's a tea strainer, right? For back in some teapots don't have a little straining bit on it. But this is also good as, what do you call it? Like a little sieve. Sometimes I use it for, we make some cakes or whatever. And you put in, you know, the icing sugar. Just so much easier to do that than having to use a big sieve. So the sieve again is used in baking to, well, obviously to get the lumps out of your flours, but it also helps to give air to the flour. So if you're making cake, so that it rises nicely. Now going along those lines, this is a colander. Okay, so the colander, you can use it to strain off anything, especially something big. You know, if you boil potatoes for a potato salad, pour it all in, let it cool down. It's a nice one. What else have we got? For slicing cheese. I found this recently. This is so cool. It slices really, really well, especially the bigger blocks, because this is the other cheese slicer, which some of you have probably seen, but it's not good for the wider blocks of cheese. So when I found this one, eureka. Okay, here we've got pastry brushes, which it's not necessarily for baking, because sometimes you need to be, you know, brushing on egg whites or the milk over your pastry to give it a nice brown color. Or you can use it for all sorts of things, really, anything to do with baking. But you want to make sure if you can, keep them separate, you know, one for purely for baking and the other one, say, for meats and things. This one I use more, this is the one that I use for that kind of stuff because it's silicone, so it doesn't burn when you put on a grill or something like that, which I did once. And here you got, again, measuring spoons. Again, they come in all shapes and sizes. These are stainless steel, which I love because sometimes, say, if I'm measuring out golden syrup and there's still, you want to get it all out, I just turn the stove on because I've got a gas stove. Pour it, heats up, it warms it up and melts, and get it all out. And again, measuring cups. I really like these ones. They're pretty. What else have we got? You got, even though it's like an ice cream scoop, but this is also good for if you've got batters. So if you want to make sure that you're portioning out the same amount for, say, if you're making cupcakes or you're making some biscuits where it's a bit of a batter, so you're making sure that they're all pretty much the same size. What else have we got? Oh, here we got, they call it an offset spatula. So this is for when you want to ice something. It's also good for lifting things up, like if you want to move a piece of cake out of the way, you know, onto another plate or something like that. These are really good. As you can see, I like to bake a lot. And I think that's just about it. That's most things that most people would have. I don't know. What do you say? If there's something I've missed, let me know and I'll see if I can find it out. But the other thing is, you know, you've got your measuring jug. Again, this is a Pyrex one. And what I love about the Pyrex is as well, sometimes the things you can put it in the microwave to warm things up. Or, you know, if you put it in a pot with some water, it helps to warm things up. Whereas, you know, with the plastic one, you can't do that. And also, you know, if you need to be pouring hot liquids, this is really good. So if you can, buy Pyrex. If not, the plastic ones will still work. I mean, they're not going to break if you put as long as the water's not too hot, because it probably could still crack the plastic. But, you know, wherever possible, plastic, stainless steel, and then there are just other better alternatives out there. So, like I said, if there's anything that I've missed, let me know, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as you can. Bye.